What's he not?
Butcher's Hook.
What's he always say?
Hashtag slaughterhouse visit.
Yeah. Buy the combined ticket and you can visit the palace as well as walk along the bridge into the middle of the river. Don't forget to sing the bridge song like an idiot. We did, and so did everyone else. Also, climb up Rocher des Dom and have a romantic walk around...
Rocher des Dom.
Yeah, I've done with a friend.
Right, fair enough.
Walk around the park, feeding the fat ducks and looking at the river and even the Alps. From here you can take a lovely photo of the bridge and, of course, listen to the old duffers playing the Hello Hello theme tune on the accordions in the square in front of the palace and dream away. High-speed trains go from St Pancras. All aboard.
That's tremendous.
There you go.
Al, thank you so much.
So that's another spot to put on your rugby league
hit list. What a great place to go watch rugby league as well, by the sound of it. I'm intrigued.
You'll get there'll be a statue one day, won't there, of Tony Gigo giving his handing some notes to the
with like a pot of piss behind his back and a load of cash. There you go, absolutely. Right, well, that is your feedback and shout outs taken care of, but we have one more thing to talk about.
I was going to say, I wrote a blog over the weekend. Check that out. It was in response to Helen Hughes' question about whether teams actually fail to take advantage of a one-man advantage.
Hey.
Very astute of Helen to spot it, because basically half of the time they do either not take any advantage or actually lose the period where they have an extra man. Just about half, slightly under half, but yeah.
And if people want to see that blog and have a read of your innermost thoughts, where do they go?
Well, go to our Facebook page, Super League Pod, facebook.com/Super League Pod, and there'll be a link there, or there's a link on the Twitter feed somewhere. But if you want to go direct to source, it's superleaguepod.blogspot.co.uk.
Fantastic. That's your feedback and shout outs taken care of. Let's take a look now at news from around the world of rugby league. So to the news then, and we'll start at the DW Stadium, where Wigan standoff George Williams has signed a new 4-year deal, keeping him at the Super League champions until at least 2020, with an option for 2021. The 22-year-old will become Wigan's second marquee player, alongside fullback Sam Tompkins, remember him, under the new salary cap rules which start next season. Wigan is in my heart and where I want to be, said Williams. I was close to leaving, but I kept coming back to this is where I want to be, this is where I want to win trophies. Wigan said they turned down offers from Super League and NRL sides for the England international. Under the terms of the contract, Williams, who came through the club's academy and was named Super League Young Player of the Year in 2015, will be able to leave Wigan at the end of the 2020 season if a predefined substantial transfer fee is met.
Yeah, Paul O'Brien got in touch and said, Mark, I bet you're happy with this. Yes. Very much so.
I suspect so, yeah.
Tyler Cass-fan got in touch and said after last week they should have sold him to the NRL and offered big bucks for Benny Roberts, winky-faced, tongue stuck out winky-face. Yeah, it's the new... This and the next story we're going to get to is example of clubs feeling a little bit of pressure is off cap-wise to be able to retain something. And there was interest from overseas, but Wigan now were able to offer him a deal that could make sure he stays with the club. And one thing I didn't mention when we talked about the salary cap stuff last week, and I think it's important, and why the special concessions for the homegrown players are what they are, is one of the things that helps build and sustain a support base is almost one club players type thing. I think if it's people you can identify with as a fan base, and you can remember watching all the way through and that sort of thing, and Wigan fans will be able to watch him until he's 26 from watching him from 16 years old, is you feel like a more closeness. And when you lose players like that, it does actually make people angry, make people consider giving up season tickets. When we were selling the likes of Sam Tompkins and Joe Burgess was being not allowed to leave, but sort of, not actively, not forcefully maintained with an offer he couldn't refuse, sort of thing. And so I think this is good. And I'm happy, obviously, that we get to keep him.
Yeah. And from a neutral point of view, I think it's good that he's going to be plying his trade in our competition. And the other good thing for me is that at 26, when his contract does start to run out, If he then wants to go and try his hand in the NRL, he's got 4 more years' experience. His development's continued. I don't see his development as a player being necessarily impacted by not going down to the NRL at this time in his career, because he's a phenomenally talented young man. And he can still go off and experience that lifestyle in the midpoint of his career and perhaps be better equipped to cope with that big move as a result. So I think it's a wonderful thing.
A bit more and that sort of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. It's a long way to go at 22, all the way to the other side of the world to cope with life. So I think it could all go well for him, and I'm glad to see a talented young man like that stay in our competition.
And it's enjoyable to watch. It's not just a star of the future, it's a star of the now, like the next guy we're going to talk about.
Yes, St Helens and England centre Mark Percival has signed also a new 4-year deal until 2021. The 22-year-old is a product of Saints' youth system and made his England debut in the 2016 Four Nations and has made 3 appearances for the national side since then. I love this club, I've been here since I was 12 and I want to help it win more trophies. That is my aim, said Percival. I'm happy here, I love playing and love the friends I have at this club and the team around me. And another phenomenally talented young man in his early 20s is retained by the Super League.
Yeah, and we all like watching Mark Percival play. He's a very good player. There's no mention of like a marquee type situation for this chap, but I think there's an asterisk next to that.
Yeah, possibly so.
I think if Saints, I think he might be on money that, or by the end of his deal, the deal might escalate. He
might be the marquee player by the end of that deal.
Yeah.
Moving back to the DW
if they need to under the cap position, they might not need to.
Moving back to Wigan then, the Warriors fullback Morgan Esquire has signed a new contract to stay with the Super League club until 2020. His new contract also includes a 1-year option to extend the deal at the end of 2020. I'm really happy here at Wigan and feel at home, he said. I'm enjoying my rugby too, and I'm happy with the way I'm playing. It's great to have this new contract agreed, and I'm excited for the future. He's definitely done a job since coming in, hasn't he? It's good to see.
24, 25 now is not a young player, but he's got himself some long-term stability with this deal, I guess.
And the performances he's been putting in for Wigan this season mean that it's not necessarily, or it's not even not necessarily, it's just not going to be a straight swap when Tompkins is match fit again. They're going to battle it out between themselves because he's playing so well.
Esquire's outperformed expectations. I think that's fair to say. And I am surprised at the length of the deal, if I'm completely honest, just because I thought he might have wanted to keep his options open. But Wigan have acted quickly to tie him down while he's still happy and in the team and that sort of thing. So good on everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Final piece of news then. Newly appointed Dewsbury coach Neil Kelly has admitted that he is faced with a huge challenge with the Rams. Kelly returned to the Tetley Stadium for a second spell as their head coach 16 years after his first stint came to an end. He joins the club with them in the Championship's relegation zone after a winless start to the campaign. With the Rams suffering 8 straight defeats at the start of the season, the 54-year-old will not be in charge for the heavy woolen derby against Batley and instead will be there as a figurehead before taking the reins. Something is stopping at Dewsbury quite clearly, so best of luck to them.
Yeah, it's a while since we've seen him have much success in rugby league, but 12, 14 years ago or so he did a good job at Widnes, didn't he? And he's sort of rounded off his experience by doing a bit of coaching in Union and stuff since his last spell at Lee, I think. So hopefully
brings a broader experience and a new approach.
And he's been at Dewsbury before, hasn't he? So he knows the lie of the land. The place.
Yes, he does. He knows the place, man. There you go. Right, that is your news taken care of. Let's strap ourselves in as we take a lengthy look back at the Easter weekend as we reviewed rounds 9 and 10 of Super League. Right then, round 9 of Super League, and we cast our minds all the way back to last Wednesday evening, Mark, down at the John Smith Stadium. Huddersfield Giants narrowly defeated 22 points to 29 by the Catalan Dragons in front of 4,973 of West Yorkshire's finest and probably a smattering of Frenchmen.
Maybe so, yeah. Alan Walker got in touch and said, "Why do I always get Alan's?"
Do you want me to do it?
No. He says,
there's lots of emoticons here.
I know. No TV, but Bruno O called it, beats Vossi. So that must have been on the radio. We had to win this. No diss to Giants, but switched off and points difference wasn't enough. Tony Magic G scores again. Toulon F off again. Inu great again. Good to see Lambert and Thibault get a run. Both doing well in the French league. We have Jay Busk, Simon, Benji Garcia and Lacaste. That's plenty of prime steak on the hook. Visca. Hashtag dragons on fire. Hashtag going off to the beach. Is that one?
I'd say so.
Hashtag fish swim with me too. PS ironing done before the weekend. Remarkable stuff.
He's a remarkable man. I hope he's tweeting this one handed.
Do you know what the most remarkable thing is?
Go on.
Alan Irons anything.
I don't find that remarkable.
I just imagine him proudly stood there with shorts and a sunburnt belly on
I have to say, I'm a little embarrassed that he doesn't do what I do, which is look at things out of the dryer and go, yeah, they'll drop out, and then hang it up. But yeah, never mind. Chris Campbell got in touch. He said, only watched the second half but really enjoyed it. Those Dragons sure do know how to get on side sometimes.
Yeah, this was a joke, wasn't it? It's the first of 2 referee sent in reviews.
Yes.
Brilliant.
So it doesn't sound like we think it is, but yeah, very good.
I think they're going to have to get funnier than...
Yeah.
The Bentham one later is a bit funnier, I think.
Yeah, got to try that.
Mark double... Yeah, because I'm not going to keep them in every time if they're not making me laugh.
Yeah. You got to make us laugh.
Yeah, if you're trying to be funny, be funny.
Fuck it, hell, you bitchy fucker. Right, go on.
I'm just done with the rap.
If you're trying to be funny, be funny.
I'm only joking.
Whoever you are, whoever came up with this is what I get every week. If you try to be funny, be funny. The pressure is overwhelming.
Yeah, even though you're the funnier of the two of us,
quite patently, yeah.
Mark W says, huge improvement for us in the first half, looked creative for the first time since witness, but killed by some very debatable penalties and errors. Read Catalans being Catalans. Then in the second half, ambition and composure went out the window and we half-arsed it. Memo seemed to add to our attack and had a very strong debut. Wakeman also starting to find form, but after 1 point from 2 winnable games, top 8 just got much harder.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a much harder task for Huddersfield looking at the weekend more broadly as well, given the way things pan out for them in round 10.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's this is the thing with Huddersfield for me, is that in fits and starts they can get rolling forward, in fits and starts they can string passes together, and in fits and starts they look like they can score tries out wide and play some attractive rugby league. But it's too few and far between for me, and the errors and the penalties and all that stuff is detracting from what they're capable as a group of players of producing, particularly when some of these Aussie guys are coming in now, and Memo has looked solid. This is what they need to fix up. It's that inconsistency.
Well, you're going to struggle to get consistency when your quote-unquote best player keeps mouthing off to referees and getting himself sin-binned and suspended.
And here's the other thing for that. Everyone seems to think it's a big fucking joke, but if I was Rick Stone and that was my captain doing that, I'd be giving him penalties.
Well, he's not the captain, is he?
Well, he was one of my leaders on the field.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If I was Rick Stone and that was the way Danny Buff was performing, I'd be questioning why he's doing
why
that.
he's not the captain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He undermines. He's still a leader on the field. He still marshals that side around, doesn't he?
But you can't trust him to be your captain because of stuff like this, because of going over that line.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know how to skirt it.
Yeah.
And it isn't helping Huddersfield at a time when he should be, as one of the senior pros in that side, helping them knuckle down and grind out some results and put some performances together and put your own personal gobshite bullshit to one side.
Because he still had some good touches when he actually plays rugby league.
He's a great player.
The kick he put through on the free play, I think it was, for the first try that Darnell tapped back for Murphy.
Yeah.
There's flashes of good stuff. It did sound like from the radio coverage that Memo injected a little bit more playmaking into the fullback role than had been coming from Darnell McIntosh, who's been doing great guns running the ball and that sort of stuff. He doesn't look lost on the wing, does he, the lad, anyway?
Not at
all. So that sounds like a positive. I'm not too impressed with Jake Mamo's sort of Jared Sammer-esque appearance, but you can't judge a man too much on that.
To be fair, he has literally just
out on the full yet.
He has literally just stepped off the Black Pearl and gone straight to training. So let's give that a second to sort himself out.
Well, he's been in like the on the medics deck for a few months.
He just needs to be late to training a couple of times, and he'll soon have a sensible haircut. It'll be like that scene. Do you remember the scene in early days Simpsons where where the power plant team has a baseball team or a softball team, and Mr. Burns brings in loads of ringers from Major League Baseball, and there's one guy, I can't remember which player it is, but he keeps telling him to shave his sideburns off, and eventually you see him at the end of it and he's basically got the entire side of his head done and he still hasn't shaved off whatever Mr. Burns think are his sideburns. So with a little bit of luck, Rick Stone will implement some pretty harsh haircut rules.